Hello, vervecity Church online viewers. Now, normally right now you'd be watching a live stream of our gathering from our Chino campus, but we're in our annual At the Movies series, and because of copyright restrictions, we aren't able to stream these services online. Now, in just a moment, I'll tell you about an alternate option we've created for you, but first, let me remind you that by far, the best way to experience this series is in person. We've transformed our lobbies, we've got popcorn and sodas and lots of fun for the whole family, and we'd absolutely love to see you at one of our gathering times next Sunday. But if you simply couldn't make it this week, we understand. So for the next few minutes, let me give you an overview of what we're talking about from one of the biggest movies of last summer, Superman. Now, this might surprise some of you, but Superman has been going through a bit of an identity crisis. For many people my age and older, Superman was Christopher Reeve. Reeve's version of Superman was hopeful and wholesome and unapologetically good. He had extraordinary power, but he simply chose to use it for the good of others. But over the last 20 years, filmmakers have struggled to know what to do with Superman. As our culture has become more skeptical, more cynical, and more suspicious of power, Superman has often become darker and more conflicted. We trust anti-heroes more than heroes because anti-heroes feel more realistic to us. Somewhere along the way, goodness itself started to feel a little naive. And that's what makes James Gunn's new Superman so interesting. At its core, it asks a very old-fashioned question. What if goodness isn't weakness? What if someone with tremendous power could actually choose to use it simply for the good of others? But the movie goes even deeper than that. This version of Superman has spent his entire life cherishing a message left behind by his Kryptonian parents. As a baby, he was sent to Earth with instructions that said in part, "Our hope is you, Kal-El. We have searched the universe for a home where you can do the most good." That's a lot to put on a kid. Superman grows up believing that this message explains who he is and why he's here. In fact, at one point in the movie, he tells Lois Lane, "That message is why I do what I do. I cherish it more than anything." And that raises a question all of us eventually have to answer. Why do we do what we do? Psychologists have discovered that human beings are meaning-making creatures. We live out of stories, in other words. We all carry narratives about who we are, what matters most, and what kind of people we want to become. The Bible says something remarkably similar. In Proverbs 4:23, we read this, "Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life." Now, in the ancient world, the heart wasn't merely your emotions. It was the center of your desires, values, and beliefs. It was like the command center of your life. So in other words, what you treasure eventually shapes what you choose. And then something devastating happens in the movie. Lex Luthor, Superman's arch nemesis, recovers the damaged second half of Superman's parents' message and discovers that it isn't what Superman thought at all. The message actually instructs him to rule over humanity. Now suddenly, everything Clark thought he knew about himself begins to fall apart. The people he trusted most seem different than he believed. The message that shaped his identity suddenly appears false. Everything he thought was solid suddenly feels shaky. And if you've lived very long, you've probably experienced some version of that too. Maybe it was a career that didn't become what you thought it would. Maybe it was a relationship that changed. Maybe it was discovering that someone you admired wasn't who you thought they were. Maybe it was reaching a season of life where old assumptions no longer answered all of your questions. At some point, almost all of us discover that the old story no longer works and the new story hasn't been written yet. Those moments can be profoundly disorienting because they're not just crises of information, they're crises of identity. Who am I now? What do I still believe? What kind of person am I becoming? But here's what I love about this movie. Even after discovering the truth, Superman never seriously considers becoming a tyrant. He doesn't pause and think, maybe I should dominate people. He rejects the idea immediately. Why? Because goodness has become part of his character. He spent his whole life choosing compassion and mercy and service. He's become the kind of person for whom cruelty doesn't merely feel wrong, it feels unthinkable. And eventually he realizes something profound. He wasn't good because someone programmed him to be good. He He wasn't good because his parents commanded him to be good. He was good because over and over again, he had chosen to be. And that's one of the things I find so compelling about Jesus. Jesus never tried to force people into becoming someone different. He invited them into a different way of being human. Again and again, his invitation was simply, follow me. Not merely believe certain things about me. Follow me. Walk with me. Learn from me. Become my kind of person. In Matthew 16:24, Jesus says, if any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way, take up your cross, and follow me. Following Jesus isn't simply believing different things. It's becoming a different kind of person. Because every day there are 1,000 voices telling us who we should be and how we should live. Voices telling us to protect ourselves, to get even, to win at all costs, and to look out only for us. And then there's Jesus. Love your enemies. Forgive people who hurt you. Serve instead of dominate. Bless instead of curse. Practice mercy. And that's not a decision we make once and never think about it again. It's a decision we make every day. Maybe there really is a better way to live. Maybe goodness isn't weakness. Maybe it isn't naive to believe that love is stronger than hatred, that mercy is better than revenge, and that serving others is greater than ruling over them. And maybe following Jesus is simply learning, one choice at a time, to keep saying yes to his invitation. Thanks for hanging out with us online this week. If you'd like to experience the full At the Movie service, including all the film clips, music, and lobby experience, we'd love to see you in person next Sunday at Verve City Church in Chino. And until then, have a great week, and we'll see you soon.